Alrighty. Hello, everyone, and welcome to We'd Been There podcast. This is episode 3, Poppin and Droppin. I'm Eric from
Poppin and
Genetics, and this is Matt, Parts Unknown.
what does that? What does that mean?
No one knows where you're from.
Oh yeah. From an undisclosed location.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I should have put my moon backdrop on.
Can I not look at anything? Are you stuck being there? Give me 1 second.
No, I'm not stuck. I'm
Oh,
here.
no, you're not.
Now I'm not.
You're stuck. Yeah. Okay.
You left me, dude.
I want to make sure we're live because YouTube is much better than Facebook. All I have to do is make sure that we're there. Hey, all right. So
There I am.
I'm trying to get the live chat up so that we can get people in here. They can talk to us. All right, stream is set. Everything is good to go. Welcome.
Poppin and Droppin.
Welcome. Yeah, last week we kind of went over, a little bit more detail of understanding, what you're going to be doing while you're getting into the growing aspect of growing, not just the talking, but
The planning.
the planting, the planting, getting the equipment, seeds, soil, stuff like that. We're going to go further into those things, but we're just trying to systematically break this down week by week. It'd probably be difficult if you're trying to follow us and grow a plant, but essentially we want to make sure all those bases are covered. So this week we're talking about poppin and droppin seeds, whether that is autoflower, photoperiod, some of the procedures on what you need to keep in mind, some of the things that you definitely should not be doing, and some of the things that you should probably plan on doing in the future if you don't already. Matt, do you want to start with anything, sir?
I mean, I can let people know how I operate, and then you can let people know how you operate, and then we can talk about how other people may operate, and we can also take like comments from the chat on how they operate. So getting into how popping them and dropping them. I've been doing pretty good, actually. I haven't had to go to a Bean Poppers Anonymous meeting in quite some time.
That's good.
But there was a point in my life where I just would continuously, nonstop pop seeds. So,
I hear you.
germination. I know everybody does it different. Definitely looking at some methods that you feel like you would be comfortable with. I feel like my method is probably one of the easiest, if not the easiest, and I have a very good germination rate. Almost always my seeds germinate. So what I do is I have actually, you know what? Let me. No, I don't need to demonstrate. I get little souffle cups. Like the little 2 ounce, like little dressing things. They sell them at the dollar store. You don't have to. You can use a regular cup, bottle. It doesn't matter. I fill it with distilled water. Doesn't have to be. You could use tap. It's really not that bad. But I use distilled water. And I throw my seed in that cup of water. I put the lid on. I put it in a warm, dark place for 18 to 24 hours. Now, some people will wait and leave it in the water until one of two things happens. Either that seed sinks to the bottom, letting you know that it's fully saturated, or they wait until it cracks and pops a taproot. Doesn't have to drop to the bottom to pop a taproot. I've had ones that stay floating on top that have taproots. So, but regardless, the way I do it is it doesn't matter if it's popped, dropped, any of those things. If it's soaked in water for 18 to 24 hours, I will take that seed out and I will put it directly into my seed starting soil. I will moisten it. I will throw a humidity dome on it just so that that soil stays as moist as it can possibly be with the amount of water that I put in there. I don't saturate the entire cup. I just do, I want water in like the top 2 inches of that soil just to start off. Um, which is now I only fill my solo cups with half dirt because I end up, seed stretch and we'll get into that later. But I do about 4 inches of dirt in a solo cup. I wet the top two, and then I just let the seed go until I start seeing it break soil. Once it breaks soil, then I will put a little bit of water into an empty cup. I will sit my solo cup in there so that I can saturate the bottom 2 inches and fully. And when I mean saturate, I don't mean like soaking wet, um, just enough to keep that soil at its optimal moisture for that, taproot to grow out of that seed shell and really, start to branch out and start a nice root network and develop a root ball. Um, and that brings me up to like, I don't want to get go too far ahead, but usually it stays in that cup depending on how fast the plant grows. Every plant is different. But it'll probably stay in that cup for about 2 to 3 weeks, maybe. Um, Eric has a little bit of a different way of germinating his seeds, so maybe I will let him tell you guys on how that he does it and what works for him and what he feels is a successful method in germ, aka popping.
I basically I agree with you on mostly everything. The only thing that I do like to explain to people, and it really depends on, I guess, where you're growing or the time of the year or your environment more or less than anything. But let's say that you do just drop it in water because that's what I would do. I would drop it into water for 12, 24 hours. Usually, not cold water, like some a little bit warmer water.
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
worry about I don't worry about pH or anything like that when it's at that stage. I know people kind of go a little nuts and go peroxide water 50-50 mix, um, which I've seen good success with too. But if you're going to drop 12, 24 hours, they should sink. If they are floating still after this time, you could just have a really thick seed husk. I've seen people, and I've done myself, manual seed pops where you just kind of squeeze it a little bit and you feel the thing click very slightly, and then you put it back in there and basically restart the soaking process. But if you have a seed that you drop into water right away and it hits the bottom, that seed was open.
That's no bueno.
It's a dud. It's like a boat, like a little submarine, and it should float until the water soaks into the seed and it cracks open, taking on humidity and moisture, and then eventually sinking. So once it sinks, you can do one of two things. If you have a good environment, meaning like if you're in a grow tent, you can maintain 80% humidity or more, for this seedling to germinate. By all means, throw it in the soil. But if you can't, for any reason, keep a good environment, put it in a plastic bag with paper towel, let it go for a day or two, put it in something black that blocks light, dark, not really warm or cold, just bleh, whatever. And you should be able to take that seed and plant it taproot facing down into soil within the next day or so after it's sprouting its tail. The only thing, like I said, I would keep in mind is, you probably want to water your medium before you put the seed in there. I've seen way too many people do that afterwards, and then they flood the thing, and then their seed goes from being positioned correctly to floating up out of the hole they made for it and getting buried way too deep, not going any further. They lose the seed. Stupid things happen. So aside from that, you should water your medium before you plant your seed. And then sorry about that. After you plant your seed, if you can't maintain, like I said, high humidity, you're gonna want to dome it. And I know that the saying is domes are for clones, and that's true because you don't want to encourage your plant to not take any water in through the roots. And with a clone, you're encouraging it to take water through the leaves because it has no roots. So, clone domes are a double-edged sword in this sense because you do need to keep that humidity, and if you can't keep that temperature and humidity correct in your tent, you're going to want to put a dome on it temporarily, so that you can get it through its seedling stage, which is not vegetative growth. It's not considered veg in my book, because you wouldn't keep your vegging plant at 80 plus humidity while it's establishing roots. So I would say the same thing as Matt, about 2 weeks in a solo cup, and then I'd transplant into something twice the size, so like a half a gallon. Um, but it should be out of the dome within the first, I don't know, 10 days. And a good way to keep humidity, if you have low humidity, is by spraying the plant every day with a mist when the lights come on. That should be in no way, shape, or form strong enough to burn the plant with water droplets. And you should have a fan, um, running to strengthen it. So that's a good way to do that. Maintaining humidity and maintaining vigor in the plant growing roots, because we got to always remember that VPD plays a huge role in how the plant picks up water from the soil and exhausts it. And if it can't do that correctly, it will stop doing the process all in all. Um, and it will do the process based on environment solely. So, got to make sure your environment is correct so normal operations on a plant can happen, especially when it's a seedling.
Yeah.
It's kind of
I
your
mean,
biggest point of setting the precedence for this plant growing. You're setting the bar, you're setting the standard. If you can get that plant to root a solo cup in 2 weeks and then root the next container in 2 weeks and the next one, you build a metabolism. This plant is ready to uptake nutrients, water, and media at that speed, and also grow at that speed on the top. So you're kind of setting the pace for your plant's growth right off the bat if you let it grow unencumbered.
yeah. I mean, 10 days for a humidity dome might be a little excessive.
If you have
Um,
a crap environment, it could,
well, I mean, if you have a
imagine you have
crap
30,
environment, I mean, I
30%.
just, I just want to give it a soil environment where it can root. So normally, like when I see that first set of true leaves, not like the tiny little ones that are already there when the cotyledons open up, but like when they start to develop and they're about the size of your thumbnail, I know that that plant has rooted and it's uptaking water. So
Right,
I will take the humidity dome off. But yeah,
right,
like Rick said, if you have if you're only pushing 35% humidity and your temps are like 90 degrees, then
I mean, it doesn't have to be that extreme. Let's say there's 70 degrees and it's 30% humidity. Now, your plant is going to uptake more water, being that the environment's sucking it out of the plant. So your plant's going to dry out. So this is what the balance I'm talking about with VPD, keeping the dome on there. The dome is going to regulate perspiration of the water venting through the leaves, and as the water vents through the leaves, the water going from the soil into the plant is pulling nutrients. So this is a whole chain reaction happening, and it kind of ends with the environment being correct. If not, it will dry the plant out. If it's too high, it will look like it's overwatered. can't sweat essentially, and they're filled with water. All the leaves go drooping down, and when it's low, you see these little seedlings like praying with cotyledons, and that's not normal. It's doing that because they're literally running out of humidity. So my current VPD is Mark Schmuck. What's going on, Mark? Good evening. So my current VPD is 1.68. How do I lower it? Seems like my tent and my room eventually end up approximately the same temp humidity within a small range. Well, I don't know what 1.6 is. I don't know if you're in veg or flower, and I don't know your temp. So if you tell me the temp and your veg or flower, I could probably help you to get that down. It seems
I mean, I'm gonna let him know right now. Like
APA in
if
flower.
he's in a 1.6 range,
In flower,
no matter what his temps are, I mean,
84. So
he's still
you need to bring your humidity up, right? Let me
yeah.
just look at the chart really fast.
No, I'd probably need to bring humidity down a little bit.
He's at 1.64
He's
at
just outside of his
85.
range. He needs to be at like a
2.
1.4, 1.2. Yeah.
Yeah. So you need 70% humidity, and you're at just about 55, 60, right?
So what is his temp though? That's gonna
84.
so if
84
his
temp,
temp's 84, his humidity should be somewhere in flower. He should probably be somewhere in like the
70%.
67, yeah, 67 to 72%.
Right. So,
I would
Mark,
think.
you would bring your humidity up um,
No
if you
chart.
if you're dealing with that. Well, I mean, I know where it's supposed to be. I just wanted to see where he was currently at, which 1.68 is like 55%, and he needs to be 55%. He needs to be in the 70.
Yeah, and like this is like why I don't like googling stuff because like if you Google like what should my temp and humidity be in flower, you're gonna get the most generic answer possible. It's gonna be like 78 to 80 degrees, and it's gonna be like 60% humidity. Some are even lower. Some people like I've Googled shit and it's 55 to 60% humidity. That is like the most incorrect thing you can possibly do. It's like it just doesn't work. You
Right.
know?
And this is what we talked about last week is understanding why and what VPD is and why it's important in this plant's uptake of nutrients even, and it's about transpiration of water. So Mark, if you look at a VPD chart for LED, for cannabis, for flower, and you were to print that chart out, I'd keep it next to your tent on the wall, just pinned right on the wall, and just keep a mind of what it is and where you're at, and you probably want to get to the 1.2, 1.8, 1.18 to 1.3 range. So if you're going to be running that high of temp, which I recommend doing that in flower for optimal CO2
Absolutely.
uptake, you should definitely get your VPD up there and correct your humidity up there. And you're going to notice with 70% humidity how important defoliation and circulating air is. Make sure that you have all these things
Well,
correct.
here's a question that I'd like to ask Mr. Mark is what is your humidity outside of your tent? So like how humid is the air that you're pulling in? Because if you're like right there, you're like on the cusp. So if your humidity like outside of the room is somewhere in the normal range of like a household humidity, which is like 45 to 50%, um, I would honestly, all you have to do is just turn your exhaust fan up just a scotch, and that'll pull probably the necessary humidity out
He
of your
said it's
tent.
about the same,
Oh, well.
marginally the same. And then he asked, will this issue cause noticeable deficiencies, yellowing, or anything?
I believe it would. Yeah. I mean, well, It's
It's
not
going
gonna
to
be.
affect the uptake of water. So this is the one thing that I'm trying to portray. Besides anything else, if you have a plant that's in a felt fabric pot, okay, he's saying the room would itself would be around 50%, but after a full day's light in the room, it catches up to the 10. Okay, so it's about the same. But what I'm saying is, if he's got a fabric pot, right, you're gonna water your fabric pot. It's immediately drying from every side, right? If
Yeah.
it is really humid, that pot does not dry out for like double the time. And this is the same thing happening with the plant, right? So now he's going to water the plant. The water is going to get into the plant, go up into the leaves, and then the air is literally going to be like a sponge sucking the water out of the plant. So if the plant is got low VPD and the environment is low and it's actually going to be drying out that pot, I would assume that his plant would run out of the water, being that the environment would rob him of his water like a hot day. You know, you water your plants on a hot day, even if it just rained. In the middle of the day, you go water them so they don't dry out, right? And if you don't, they're all sad and like, holy crap, I missed it. You know what I mean? So you go and do that. This is the same kind of thing. So if your humidity is low, your plant is going to be sucking up water just to move stuff around, and the air is going to be sucking it out of it like right away. So you need the correct humidity in
And
order
not
for
only that,
your
like,
water to stay in the soil, your pot not to dry out, and your plant to be able to transpire at the correct rate.
right. And think of it like this too. So other things could happen. So is your plant sucking up like the same amount of water but twice as fast? Well, what's coming with that water? You have nutrients that are getting smashed into that plant twice as fast as they normally would, which
But it runs
could be
out. It runs out of
well,
water. You know, that's what
well,
ends up happening.
right. But you're also exhausting your soil like quicker. So like, there's a lot of different other factors that can go in because the faster your plant's uptaking water, it's bringing all that stuff with it.
It's actually, if you were to have water go into a pot and the plant not be the one that uptakes the water out of the media, but the environment dries out the media, you would end up with a compound interest of acidified, unbroken down nutrients in your soil. So you would have a dry, high acidic soil. Like, environment is really important, and I don't think that many people understand how crucial VPD is to the mechanics of everything working. Like, if you tell me that your car works great, everything's working fine, and then I go and pull the serpentine belt off, everything's going to stop. The VPD is the serpentine belt in this situation. It is.
That's why.
If it's slipping slightly, you'll see issues with the radio not going up loud enough. The headlights will flash. Like, there's all sorts of stupid problems that happen, but nothing's really wrong. You know what I mean? And then you tighten that tensioner. That's your like little humidity gauge. You go and mess with these things and get your VPD in range, and then your plant can actually take off because it's more of a mechanical type of a thing. Things are trying to happen, but they can't unless the
Well, that's why
VPD
this
is low.
plant doesn't grow everywhere on the planet either. It grows in very select areas.
Sometimes it grows in very disselected areas, and that's where we get ruderalis, which
Well,
actually brings me into my next point. If you're going to be popping a autoflower, don't go put it in a little container and then transplant it. Please put it in the correct home because you're not going to get it. A lot of people literally are like, "Oh, I do that now. Now that's what I do." And it's like, I don't know. They got really good at messing around with it or playing with fate, but autos should go into a forever home once germinated. So if you have a 5, 10, 15 gallon, put it directly in there. Actually, Matt has probably the best procedure for doing an auto, which is like a non-traditional um, media transplanting, like up potting within the soil. If you want to share that, Matt.
yeah, sure. So, yeah, I do it a couple different ways. Well, not a couple different ways, but like when I'm growing autoflower, I will build my soil. I fill up about a little more than half, and then I start lightening my soil. So, like, I'll have a pretty basic but heavily amended um, organic soil at the bottom, and then as I go up top, it gets lighter with the amendments. And then I will actually take like a 1 gallon and I'll put it in there. I'll fill all the way around it, leaving like a transplant hole. Then I'll take a solo cup and I will put very lightly amended around that, and then I will remove the solo cup, and that gives me my starter. So then seed starter goes in there. So because like autos, you want to put them in there forever pot from the jump, um, and you don't want to have like a super hot soil. You want to kind of like as you would transplant method with a photo period. So I actually plant in an inverted solo cup. I'll cut the bottom off and I'll leave the solo cup in the dirt. Fill it with the seed starter, plant the seed. I do that because having that small solo cup area, you can water very precisely. Because what a lot of people do is when they're in like a 7 gallon or a 10 gallon, like they're either, I mean, a couple different things can happen. You can have such a hydrophobic soil because it hasn't been watered, and it's going to pull the moisture from where you've just watered. That other super dry soil is going to be like, hey, let me get some of that moisture. It's going to pull it away. So I keep it in a solo cup until, like, same, the bottom's cut off so the taproot can still grow down, but I just don't want all those roots in super nutrient rich soil getting that plant burned the hell up because I don't want to feed my plant essentially. I want the soil to feed my plant over the course of the time. So I mean, it cuts on over underwatering. Um, it allows you to kind of like dictate, and then I just remove the cup when I'm at like node 3, and I'm about to top. I'll take that cup off. It's not really a transplant. I'm just sliding that cup, and now that that fresh, lightly amended soil is now hitting those roots because that plant's ready to start uptaking nutrients. And then I kind of branch out. It's kind of like a ring system, but
But
it's
if you
rings.
want to look up what he's talking about, it's called Cyclops transplanting. And I think the last one he did was pretty sweet. He started with, I think it was a 5 gallon, 5 or 7 gallon, and then he just he put soil like a few inches on the bottom, and he put, I think it was a 3 gallon or a 1 gallon in the middle, and he filled all around the 1 gallon, and he got it tight, and he took the 1 gallon out, and he put, I think it was a solo cup in the middle, and he put, it was what, strawberry fields and ocean forest. You did like a layer in that way.
So I did ocean forest at the bottom,
Oh, and then Happy
and then
Frog
I did
above it.
and then I did ocean forest happy frog 50-50,
Right.
and then I did happy frog, and then the seed starter in the center.
Right. So if you were to look at this from the top, it would be like three different colors, but he's putting it in there and packing it tight and then taking the other pot out, and that's the new space for soil. So if you look up cyclopsing to get a visual, that's what I think people have coined the term, but essentially it's just not wasting space and making sure you have the right amount of soil in your pot. Also to add with autos, when you're planting a seed for an auto or you're making soil for an auto, make sure there's no like sticks, stems, branches, stones, anything that is considered like forest compost, anything like that is going to trigger that plant to go into flower mode. Like the roots hitting obstructions is a massive trigger for autos, and that's why you don't want to try to transplant it because if it hits the bottom, it's just going to assume that's all the space it has. It's the same thing if it hits a large rock, and like a rock the size of your thumb, the top of your thumb right here. Like this is a big enough piece to be considered, an obstruction, especially in seed starter. So in seed starter, if you notice, there's like almost nothing. It's all very granular. It's all like,
It's like
you know,
dust.
yeah, dusty, right? That's for that reason. And then when you get into more of like a heavier soil, there's like, chunks of bark and pieces of stick and small rocks and stuff in there because the plant can handle that. But make sure that you're free of those things when you're planting a seed. But yeah, man. I mean, I really
I
like
mean,
the
I
Cyclopsy.
only do that for autos though. I don't really do that for photo periods, just because like
You
I
gotta change the
know
soil.
yeah, I know my soil can a photo period can handle the soil.
Right, but you're gonna go and put it in a bigger pot.
Oh, I'm
You'll
gonna
choose
transplant. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
going
you'll
from a
choose the
solo
soil
cup.
later.
I'm going from a solo cup to a half gallon to a gallon into geez, a 5 or 7.
Right. So I mean, you'll choose that soil then, or you could just put it in more seed starter and feed it with a nutrient system. There's really a lot of places to go from there, but I'm starting to see people do more and more is putting like 5 autos in a 10 or 20 gallon. You know, I don't know. I mean, I guess technically it's the same difference, right? If you put four autos in a 20 gallon,
I mean,
that's the same as putting 4 autos in their own singular 5x5s, right? Throw
well,
some, throw some freaking root hormones in there, and
Jesus.
yeah, dude, let the ball communicate. I mean, it's
I mean, yeah,
auto,
like
probably
yeah, I
fine.
just like I equate that method that I use for autos as like being able to transplant autos multiple times. That's basically the science behind it for me.
Well,
You
yeah, I
know,
mean, you're doing amended soil, so you don't want to feed it later on. So you're gonna hope that it grows in the direction of the nutrients, and that you could just rely off of pre-amended, future feedings. And there's nothing wrong with that. I actually have done that myself with multiple things, even in the garden outside. Before winter for my regular vegetables, I put like really heavy, hot, used and amended soil, mixed it all together, put it in the ground, put it out in the garden, kind of raked it in, tamped it, let it get real like solid when it rained and all that. And then this year I just went over it with like kind of a forest compost, leaf litter, light, soil mix, and the plants are doing awesome. I'm not doing anything, just water. I got plenty of buffers in there. I could just feed straight from the hose. Um, so I definitely did something like that there. It's layered down. You go a few inches down, and then these plants can pick up some good nutrients. Yes, sir. Good nutrients. I have like I got some down to earth stuff in there. I got a bunch of different things all mixed in for the garden. But it's kind of like your auto mix. I don't want to do anything. I just want to kind of water it,
that dab was
chop it when it's
delicious, by
done.
the way.
Huh?
That what I just did was delicious, by the way.
Oh yeah. I had
That
that.
was super baked right now.
I had that bowl pack. That hash bowl. Actually,
Bro, save me some of that hash, bro.
you know what?
You fucking you smoked all the Moroccan hash, dude, which I actually really enjoyed. This fucking guy smokes all the hash. I can't see the comments, or I would interact with you guys or on his screen, but he just leaves in the middle of a podcast, I guess. Dude, you left me
Once
here to entertain our fucking followers and the
I have you
subscribers.
in my ears. I hear you
You,
telling everybody I smoke all the hash.
you do smoke all the hash, dude.
Hey man, remember to take some home literal pinky nail. And I have plenty of this hash here. I've only smoked a couple
Right.
bowls.
Until we get to the next time where we're in the same room together and you're like, yeah, about that hash, bro. This is like all I got left, and it's like a booger.
That's what the guy gave us on the Moroccan. It was like a snot rock. It was on a piece of wax paper, you know?
Yeah.
Like someone accidentally took that and gave it away. And there is no comments on the screen, or you could be reading them.
Well, I can't see. They're too tiny on my
I
screen.
know, I know. Me and Matt have this proverbial battle going where I don't want him to use his cell phone, but he only wants to use his phone to do streams. So he can't read the screen that's being shared to him in HD.
Yeah, I
Or
get.
he will just be like, "Oh, hey, yeah, let's see. There's the comments." just to let you know.
One day I'll set my laptop up.
For the streamers that are listening, I have given him a HD camera. He has a laptop. Um, whose audio's coming in and out? Is it mine, Mark? I think I'm gonna just buy a new microphone before next week. It might just be me. I had it turned up before so that it couldn't do that.
As long as everybody can hear me this week, that's all I need.
You can hear Matt well though, Mark.
Please don't say that you can't hear me at all. I'll fucking shit myself.
No, he's telling me that I have to be close to my mic. So I gotta hold this thing. I don't really know how to feel like a news reporter. This week on We'd Been There. It's very awkward. Ooh, the hash is really good, Matt.
Rub it in a little bit fucking more.
You should try it out, pal.
Yeah.
For the record, here's what I have left.
Oh my god, dude, you smoked like half of that.
No, dude. No.
It's only been a week, dude. It's only been a week. It's half gone.
In 10 days, it will almost be a month. So it'll almost be a month. 10 days.
Dude, we're there
18. He goes. It seems like 18 inches or so, and it catches you. So I feel like a grow light. I gotta stay within the 18 inches of the canopy, or else no one can hear me.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we know that that was an issue. I don't remember what we were talking
So
about.
who's popping? We're popping and dropping, dude.
Where were we at though? Oh,
We covered
amended
cyclone transplanting or the Cyclops method.
Cyclops, the transplant style that you don't know the name someone coined for.
I mean, I thought I just did that myself. I
You
didn't
just
really
know what you do. I know, dude. I get it.
I didn't like Google it or nothing. I was just like, oh, this is what I feel like I want to do.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it makes sense. It makes
it's
sense.
just a good, like, I don't know. It's a good way to do it. So I figured, I didn't. I mean, I'm sure some other people have done it, and now that I know that there's an actual term for it, you know.
Well, that's the thing, man. And this is kind of why I love spreading these terms, because think about it this way: like, now you didn't even know it was a term, right? Now you can go and look it up, and you're gonna see like what other people did within the cycloning and the cyclopsing. You got me saying cycloning, but it's actually really cool. Something that I never noticed until I got like deeper into understanding soil and soil health and soil management is if you use at the bottom of your pot, right? If you use a layer of marble chips, you are basically solid as far as heavy feeding late into flower. Do you know why?
Because the excess nutrients go to the marble where the roots are not at.
No, because the lime in the marble keeps the pH from diving. So it almost doesn't matter how much heavy feeding you put through there.
Lime, yeah.
It's going to buffer way the fuck out when it hits the marble section. And that's where the roots.
Has lime in it.
No, marble Yes, marble chips are all parted
Chips.
with yes. Yeah, they come in a bag. You could buy them. If you wash them off, you will literally have a white water that comes off of them almost any time you wash them. Anyways, if you put them in the bottom, the root system develops and hangs out right on that layer because they keep wet and dry out. It's like stone for drainage. Anyways, um, if you're planning on doing heavy feedings, you could put an inch of that at the bottom of your pot. And I used to do that just because I always knew that stone should go at the bottom of any container you want drainage in. Universally, it doesn't matter if it's tomatoes or potatoes or whatever. Really has no difference. It should have stone at the bottom.
Does it have to be stone? Can you just put lime at like the bottom inch of your pot?
Lime is gonna come in like a powder.
Yeah, like mix it in with the bottom inch soil.
I wouldn't even try to figure out the ratio. The thing is that the marble is going to release this over time. It breaks down with the water. So as you water it, this buffer is able to be hit. But it's kind of like a hack because your root zone just won't be acidified. It'll stay higher, but you're going to have to feed it heavy.
Heavily.
Right. I mean, you're not going to have to feed it to combat that. This is for if you're going to feed a plant heavy. So if you're going into flower, and you're someone like, if you're someone like me that wants to do a transplant before flower, because I like to do transplant at the end of veg. So if you're in a 5 gallon, you should be going into a 10 to flower, right? So you would do that week one, just before week one of your flip. You would change to your final forever pot. And that's because roots grow 3 times as much in flower as they do in veg. The saying, more roots, more fruits. Well, if you got more roots and now you're literally growing more fruits, you can grow even more roots, right? I mean, you can't grow more fruits and then roots. The roots are already there. So once you get into flower, it starts growing a lot more roots. So this is why people also go from feeding their plant having no problem in veg to early flower. But then they have a problem all of a sudden when they're in flower, and they're like, I don't know, I just have my plants yellow out. I can't really keep up with them. I can't let go of the mic. Now, how am I going to smoke? It's the same problem I had this morning.
Well, another thing too is like when you transplant right before flower, like you could amend that soil specifically for flower. You can have your higher P and K in there, for flower and a lower nitrogen. So you're not just feeding it like, because there's always going to be stuff in the soil, you know.
Right, right. No, no, that's not exactly what I meant. Oh,
No, what I'm saying is, but you can do that as well. You can amend your
sure.
soil geared more towards the flower phase than just a general, throwing more soil in there.
For sure, dude. I mean, if you're feeding, then it really doesn't matter. And you're just trying to get more media to get into your roots to explore into. Then that's fine too. But one thing that I really think that is unknown is how much root growth you get at that stage. And if you're in a 5 gallon and that thing is like slammed and you're flipping it, let's say you're in a 2 gallon, right? And you're about to flip your plant, but you pull it out and the thing is like root bound. And you go into flower, that thing's gonna yellow out and want to die so fast. And the reason is it's not gonna be because it went root bound. Plants hardly go root bound when they're in flower. They get root compact disorder, which is almost the same thing but 10 times worse. They basically take up every square millimeter of the container, no longer having medium, anything. It's just roots, and you have to feed it like it's a drain and fill, like cocoa or hydro or something like that, because it can't pick up the amount of nutrients or water it needs to in a single period. It has to pick it up slow like all throughout the day, NFT style, or it's got to pick it up 3 times a day, so you feed it multiple times. This is like what a solo challenge, a solo cup challenge is like. So if you don't give your plant enough space for flower, you're going to be running into root compact disorder where your plant, you just can't, it doesn't matter if you feed it, it doesn't come back from the deficiency, and then it gets worse because your soil's acidified. A lot of this stuff is all the same runaround. Like you didn't give your plant enough room, so now it needs water. You give it water, and what it can't pick up comes out the bottom, and then it needed to drink more. It's like pouring water out, and you're only drinking what you can at a slow pace, but it's still pouring all over your face, right? And then once the bottle runs out, you're still freaking thirsty, and you're like, "Shit, man, what's going on? Can I get some more water?" And they're like, "I already gave you a whole bottle." But the plant can't be like, "I only drank 1.4% of that." Then you put another bottle in, it drinks the entire bottle. So this is root compact disorder, and that happens from not giving the plant enough space before it flips into flower. And it getting comfortable in root bound. So that could also be happening to you, Mark. You're talking about what's making a plant just yellow out. What did he say? How many weeks into? Oh, let me see this. It's causing deficiencies. If you're in flower and you're just getting deficiencies for no reason, and your
Well, no,
soil should be enough.
he asked if his temp
If
and humidity were causing it, going to cause any deficiencies.
he said something, if you're growing an autoflower, would you start at 1 gallon, move to 3 to start flowering, then maybe 5? No. If you're running an auto, you should just pick right off the bat. If you want, a big, huge, giant plant, you're gonna have to do more things. You're not just gonna put in 10 gallons and then forget about it. You're gonna have to train it. You're gonna have to give it a little bit more than regular nutrients all the time, but not too much. You have to you could if you put it in a 1 gallon, it's gonna flower in 1 gallon. Don't be surprised if you get less than an ounce.
Yeah.
Put it in a 5 gallon, you're gonna get you. I've seen a lot happen in 5 gallon. That
Right.
goes into your watering technique and how much you water and feed.
And
Training
like,
your
dude,
top.
I keep thinking about like those critical 47s that I grew in the 7 gallon autopots that were
Autopot.
legit. That were legit like 4 feet tall. They were like shrubs, but like two plants filled up a 4x4. Um, like tall as shit too. They were massive. I probably would have got like way more than a half pound off each plant.
He said he did 5 gallons. 3 of them hit a wall, yellowing out. The idea of the disorder may be correct, but I grew perfect 1 and 3 gallon plastic pot. So, I without knowing, like if you and I spoke and I went over your entire scenario of what you fed it and week after week, I'm sure we could easily figure out where you were going wrong, what was causing as much of the problems you're having. But um, say you were having a problem with three of them hitting a wall and yellowing out. With an auto, you're not really gonna transplant. So if you had it in
Dude,
a
I just had the
one
greatest
gallon,
idea.
a 1 gallon or a half gallon or a 5 gallon, that
Write
auto
this
is
down.
going to figure out its placement, figure out how big it is, and flower accordingly. If it's yellowing out, I would say that you need to monitor your pH of water and feed going in, monitor your runoff, make sure you have adequate runoff to monitor, and just do consistent inputs, and that's usually going to help you to mitigate having shit like that happen. I'm ready for a consult when you are later, dude. Yeah, man.
Here,
Whenever you're ready for a consult, you could just message me. I think I actually have a message from you, but we could definitely do a consult and help to figure out where you have
Here, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to write these two words down. One's a comp. Well, I guess one's actually two words. So write these three words down,
What?
please. Journal and artificial intelligence.
Why didn't you just say AI? And why am I writing this down?
Yep, we'll talk about that later. I have left fucking light fucking bulb right there.
Got an idea?
Literally.
Let it lit up.
No, I had a great idea. It's gonna be
The
sweet.
only other thing is I started with old newts, but I switched to utopic via your request. Yeah, well, that's good. It's good you switched to utopic, because utopic's really good nutrients, and it's easy to use. It's if you're in amended soil, I will say to start with a half feeding your first time and see how your plant reacts. And on your next feeding, if you're going full strength, make sure that you give adequate runoff. Check your pH ranges and ppms of your runoff and your feed, and make sure that you're not, going out of range. But starting with old nutrients, that could be, pretty bad, dude. That could be pretty bad. You don't really know what is good or bad there, and you don't know how that stuff breaks down and what it breaks down into.
Yeah.
Um,
Got bacterias in there, all types of stuff.
Well, if it's not bacterias, and they can bind and make toxic nutrients, then that's not good.
That's what I'm saying. Bacteria. So bacteria could not be good in your plant and use soil.
Using used nutrients.
Oh, used nutrients?
Old nutrients.
Oh, I thought you said old soil.
No, old nutrients.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, well, I mean, dang, yeah, there can be definitely bacteria in old nutrients too.
I'm not really. I don't really think bacteria is there, but I
You
do
get stuff.
think
You
it
get
could be
stuff that
like
molds. You can get molds in there, like some of this organic stuff.
it could be really, really freaking poisonous, like
Yeah,
version of nitrogen you'd never get unless you bottle something and leave it in the heat for X amount of time. You know what I mean? It could really be something that your plant should not uptake, or you should not be smoking.
yeah. I've seen stuff turn black. I've seen some, and trust me, I've used like almost every friggin' company out there. Like, no, I can't say every company, but like you name it. Like, who do I got right here? I don't even know what the fuck that is. Athena. I got like a $700 Athena kit that I've never used. Like
That's good. I'm happy you
unopened
never
bottles,
used it.
like unopened bottles. Like I have a shit ton. Fox Farm,
Happy you never
General
used it.
Hydroponics. Um, like I've gone through quite a few. Um, like Foop. Foop was Foop was. I mean, I know a lot of people that grow with Foop, and my cap tip to them. But Foop for me, like I just saw that those jugs didn't have a great shelf life. Um, yeah, I just like one day I opened it, I was like, whoa, like this smells like straight drain cleaner. Like, what is this? And like you can just tell it was like almost acid at that point. Like
Right. What does
whatever
that
was in
break
there.
down into?
Right, exactly. Like, and I was just like, if I feed this to my plant, like Jesus Christ, it's like pouring battery fluid in the soil. That's what I felt like.
Right, but
Um,
Foop is claiming that it's all organically sustained or organically derived non-toxics that are
yeah,
whatever. Now you go to Athena, I don't think you can can say the same
Those
there.
no,
And if
those
it,
are straight. Those are straight synthetic all day. Like
right, imagine that sat on. Imagine that sat, and then it became old. What the hell is that turning into? Like the stuff
I
that
don't know. I've
turned
had
the
it for
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles into
I've
what
had it
they
for
were.
2 years. I had it for 2 years unopened.
You pour that down the drain, and Donatello's gonna come out. Be like, "Sup, dude? You got pizza?"
Yeah,
You
like
know,
a
like
little
that's the
really.
shit that changed the turtles.
Yeah,
Is that what Alex Jones been freaking out about? Is that how the turtles are made? It's Athena.
I don't know, but I heard a joke the other day about turtles, and now I forgot what it was.
That's funny, dude. Great job.
No, it was a really
Join
funny
us
joke.
next week for the other half of that joke.
I'm definitely gonna tell it.
uh,
Eric, write this word down. Turtles.
turtle, turtles, and joke. This hash is really strong, Matt. That
Good.
guy was he
You
was
know,
great. He was a
and
great
there
guy.
you go. And there you go. You just further like pick the wound
Oh man, you
of me
know,
not having the
let's
hash.
let's go let's go back like
That's like the third time this live that
let's go back real quick. Well, I'm
brought
smoking
up
it.
how
Smoking it. It
amazingly
tastes great.
wonderful the hash is that I don't have.
I'm sorry, but let me just remind you
It's all
of
right. I mean, might as
there's
well
this
do
guy.
it two or three more times.
All right, so I got a friend. I got a friend who called me once, and he's like, "Yo, dude." So I was at this place, and I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Yeah, I got super booth," and I was like, "Oh, word!" And that's like one of my favorite strains, ever. And this guy's like, "Yeah, man, I got super booth," and he's like, "I'm gonna save you some," and I'm like, "Word!" And then he's like, every time that I talk to him after that, he's like, "Yeah, man, just smoking on some booth. Oh, I got the booth this, booth that." Boof, 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 boof. Everything's boof, And I'm like,
I don't
maybe
know
I'll
if
go
he
smoke
was
that.
boofing that much, bro.
It was you, so
Yeah.
I don't know if he was boofing that much. And then he comes to my house. He gives me a awesome nug of boof, and then he leaves. And we go to we go to the festival, and we find some more there, and we smoke there, and this and that. And then he gets home like last week, and he hits me up, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing. What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm smoking some super boof." This guy still fucking got this super boof over there. So I think I got a couple weeks of this hash business here.
Bro, the super booth that I had after was the super booth that I took off you at the festival.
Oh, we'll see. There you go, man.
Remember, we broke the nug in half, and I put the other half in my jar, and the back the other half, and you're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like,
It's some
"Putting
good
it in my
hash.
jar."
Shout out to whoever that guy was that we didn't get a business card because when I asked him, I'm pretty sure his literal answer was no. And I was just like, okay. I don't know why. But I thought that was hilarious coming from a vendor who's like got a whole booth set up and all this shit. I'm like, you got a business card? And I was just waiting for him to like reach in his pocket and grab it. And he just looks at me like that was never gonna be an option ever.
Yeah.
Like, no, no, dude, not even.
No business.
Don't call me again. Like I never called you. Well, don't try. It's like, all right, great stuff. He wants to be a myth. That's what he wants. I'll probably never go back there again and be unfindable. You know?
Yeah. It's like Ass Man, Glass Man Dan. I haven't seen him in a minute.
Right? We might have dreamed him.
I
You
don't
know?
know.
You might like go back in time and look at like some
Oh
cameras and
man,
see
you know what I'm
what he was
thinking
saying
about, dude?
in the
I'm thinking about the Poconos and hip right now. Like,
That might have been a dream as well. That I would say we were
like he's gonna
we were
be at that
definitely
event,
dreaming.
dude. That's Pocono Pete. He's gonna be at that World Can Fair in the Poconos, and he's gonna find us. He's gonna sit there, standing next to me and talking to me for the entire event, like both days.
I hope they let us in as vendors because we haven't vended there, and it seems like it's a little boys club type deal where if you weren't there before, you're not allowed to vend now. So
I left a message. Hopefully they call me back.
if not, we're gonna be going over. We're gonna be going to Ohio, right? Did you get an answer of that one?
I don't think not yet, but it is the weekend, so I have to check my emails. Actually, I may have, but I
Mark
don't think.
Mark Schmuck asked, "Here's a bean popping question. How do you feel about Fox Farm Ocean Forest for seedlings?"
No, dude. Just no. Just no. Just don't do that.
So many
That's
people ask about that. If you're running in utopic, if you're running utopic nutrients, you can literally just get a cocoa peat perlite, um, and mix that with like any light seed starter. And if it's an auto, you can put that in however many gallons you want and follow the feeding guide. You want to just follow the feeding guide for utopic and keep it in like a light cocoa peat soil seed starter for that, and then just follow the feeding guide. If you were going to be in a doing a photo, you could start with, like I said, the same thing, and then
well.
you can
Well,
just
let's get.
feed it and
Let me
move
ask
up in
this question.
sizes. You don't have to buy
What does he mean by
expensive soil.
seedling, though?
Well, hold on. I don't think you should be buying a soil like ocean forest if you've already purchased utopic. And the reason being, I would, if I were you, I'd rather feed it utopic's organic nutrients for the first month than let it eat the Fox Farm soil for the first month. Because you could be putting it in kind of like, I think it's Roots Organic and ProMix have a organic mix that basically is like 000, and that's perfect for Utopic because you can feed Utopic right after it has its first true leaves. So you know what I mean. You really don't need anything in the soil. You could actually just get a media that's not soil and put a tiny bit of worm castings in it and be good to go for the first 2 weeks while you're waiting to feed Utopic. Because you're gonna just waste. I feel like you're gonna waste your money buying an amended soil to use amendments. Well, to use a nutrient kit that is supposedly, usable from like the first week, second week of its life. Sorry for cutting you off, Matt, but
No, you're good.
I had to put that up. I had to put that out there because a seedling in ocean forest, like I'm assuming he's talking about, once he pops it and puts it in soil, the soil of choice would be ocean forest, and that is a hot soil. I've done it. I've seen a lot of people do it. I have somebody that I know swears by it. They don't and won't grow really any other way. So can't change everybody's opinion, but the that's the thing. This is your run, so it's your responsibility. I think taking the easy path and the one that is going to be the most consistent is the way that you should go. So, being you have utopic, I would just go with utopic and something very, very light that is, I don't know, also organic, but doesn't really have anything in it. There's also people out there that want to do just a living soil, and for that you could do like a ocean forest and plant a cover crop. Cover crops can be bought at like Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's. They come in a small bag. Um, you plant them like a week or two before, depending on what you get, and they're going to put nutrients into the soil. So that's actually really good for an autoflower if you're thinking about doing something without nutrients, without having something to feed, and you can use clovers. Um, there's different types of cover crop. There's some sorts of peas and um, like barleys that are designed to grow short and basically just feed the soil. And that's going to give you a way different growth pattern um, through veg and into flower, being that your plant's going to have like tractor trailer loads of stuff just waiting, and the only thing keeping it from it is it's the plant's speed of uptake. So
I'm pretty stoned.
yeah, that's good stuff, man.
Good stuff. Time for another dab. Time for another top off Randers.
You know what? Yeah, yeah. What did he say? He's like, I gotta check this. He just blows into it, and he's like, yeah, I got a FRH, a false high reading. He fucked up the letters even. An FRH, a false high reading. Like sometimes it's like that with the adrenaline. So time for another drinky poo.
I like to be right here in the slot.
Right, right in the pocket. Keep it in the pocket, like Julian. It's an awesome show.
I'll tell you what, dude. These are some pretty fucking fire dabs. Some fire dabs.
Don't you know? That's good.
And they're smooth as fuck. Like you seen that? Not one fucking.
The hash is,
Oh,
one
here we
thing.
go with the fucking
One thing I
hash
gotta
again.
say about this.
There we go.
One thing I gotta say about the hash is, I think we're gonna,
do it.
I think we're gonna have to chop this stuff up and like, shave
Smoke
it
it?
down. No, and
Smoke it?
let it dry out. 'Cause, you can't really smoke a bowl of it. You're not gonna light this and pass it around type shit. Like you have to light it every time you smoke it.
Alright, so dry it up. I'll even add some dry keef to mine. Chop it up.
You just let it. You gotta let it dry out on its own, and then form it back into a shape.
Bro, we gotta talk about like, oh my god. I went into a shop today and dude was selling this strain called Ice Picks, right? It was marked as 67.9%. So it has the THC isolate dusting like your snow caps did.
Yeah. What do you want? An eighth?
$40.
Did you buy it?
No.
The
Not
one
at
I
all.
got was 55 an eighth, and I got
Yeah.
it for 40.
Right.
It's good shit, dude. Me and Anna freaking every time we smoked it.
Yeah, dude. It looked like
That way.
powdered donuts. Like that's what it looked like when I opened the jar. It was like powdered donuts.
Yeah, I mean it was great. The concept is that it decarboxylates while you light it.
Yeah.
So technically they can sell it that way, being it's not decarboxylated. So it's not, I guess it's not regulatable.
I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's not natural, so I don't smoke
It is. It's a trichome. It's THCA.
it. Yeah,
And
I
when
just.
you decarboxylate it, it turns into THC.
All right, let me just put it this way. It
Let me
seems
put it this
dust
way.
for
When
me.
you take a plant, right?
Yeah, I understand what you're gonna say.
I don't think you
I know
do.
where.
So if you took a plant and you extracted THC from said plant, well, THCA from that plant, that
Right.
THCA, you could literally take all the trichomes off a plant, put them
Mhm.
into a jar, and then take spoonfuls and eat it, and you would not get high from it.
Right.
you'd get high from it if you decarboxylated it. And this is
Right.
the same thing. So they are literally taking trichomes and covering a bud with trichomes. And technically, that trichome is THCA, and they can't say that it's just a THC trichome, so they can't actually regulate it on the bag. But then when you put your flame to it, it decarbs into THCA. So it's like you had a a bud made out of a dab, essentially.
Right.
So I mean, it's not that it's fake. It's like the modern way of rolling a joint in oil,
Right. Well,
right? I mean,
I'm about to turn into a pumpkin, so
it's like this hash, Matt. It's nothing like the hash. Nothing like the hash. Hash doesn't taste anywhere near like that that white weed shit. That shit tasted crazy. Had a trichome salad on it. Who knows how many plants that came from?
word. Well, thanks for stopping by for episode 3.
Yeah, we're over the hour marker. Is that what you were trying to? You were trying to see the little numbers at the bottom before?
Yeah, I was trying to look to see how long we're on.
Yeah, that was. That was. We're just over about an hour.
Yeah, I haven't eaten yet today, so I plan. And now that I'm a superstar, I'm about to crush this steak grilled cheese burrito. What's up?
Oh, wait a minute. I'm just trying to unpack that. A steak and cheese.
A steak grilled cheese burrito.
A steak grilled cheese burrito. So there's a grilled cheese with steak on it inside of a burrito.
No, no.
Okay.
It's rice, sour cream. It's got like 3 different cheeses. It's got
Okay.
steak in it. It's like a grilled cheese, but it tastes like a grilled cheese. It's got like I don't know. It's from Taco Bell, dude. Go to Taco Bell and get a fucking grilled cheese burrito, dude.
Oh, that's from Taco Bell. I didn't know
This
it was
shit's
Taco
yeah.
Bell.
You can actually probably Google that shit and it'll show you a picture. But it's time for me to go, so like I'm ready to go. Not to
All right.
like
Well,
rush everybody away. I'm just like, you know,
Matt is definitely really high. Yes.
I
Yes,
am. We're
Mark.
done. We're done. We're done.
That's really funny.
Because like if we stay on live for like another 5 minutes, you're gonna bring the hash up for the 5th time. I'm just gonna walk away. I'm just gonna shut my camera off and be
Well,
done.
we do have this biological clock at an hour. We're like, all right, we're done here, right?
Has it
It's
been
been
an
an
hour?
hour,
How long have we been on? We've been on
an
for like
hour and
almost
13
2.
minutes.
Really?
Yes.
Felt like forever, but all right.
Well, it
Damn.
starts to feel like forever after an hour because that's what we plan on an hour.
10:30. Yeah.
Anyways, I hope that everybody that was listening, the people that find this podcast and our live video here on YouTube, and our podcast on Podbean, I hope that you find some education in how to, why to, when to pop and drop
Yeah.
your
And share it
cheese.
out. We're still doing giveaways for subscriber goals and bring your folks over, likes, shares, all that good stuff.
For sure. We're definitely
We're not gonna
very
spam the
close to.
screen with like all the buttons that people put on their shit. Like share, subscribe.
We
We'll just
might.
talk to you. We'll
We
ask
might. And now that
you.
Matt said that, we might do
No,
that.
don't you ever, don't dare do
Whenever Matt does this, it's gonna activate a button.
that. No,
It's gonna be like
no.
subscribe now. But absolutely share, like, invite people to our stream. We're trying to educate as many people as we can. Remember, always cultivate greatness. Have a great week, and actually, we're gonna catch you next Saturday
Yeah,
because we're gonna be doing this on Saturdays. So if you're looking for something to do in the morning, we have the Wake and Bake live at 8:30 on Saturday, and then we're going to be doing the live stream of the podcast on Saturday evening. Time to be determined still. So we'll let let you know
Probably
what's
gonna
going
be
on.
like 8 at night.
Probably follow us on our socials on Facebook, and you can get more information from there. Thanks,
Thanks for
everybody.
stopping by. Peace.